Hello, my name is Nick Denny, and in this video we're covering authentication using APImetrics. Firstly, we're starting with a standard API call, just a GET request with no authentication. And if I run it, we see we get a 401 error because we don't have any authentication. Now this is expected, so if I go back to the edit call, I know I need an authorization header, so I could manually add an authorization header here and a bearer and type in whatever my access token is, but the problem with this is, especially with OAuth, your access token will likely expire, and you don't want to come in and edit all your API calls each time you need to have a new access token. Some access tokens can last only a matter of minutes, so that obviously wouldn't work with monitoring. Luckily, APImetrics handles OAuth and various other authentication methods using the authentication handler. First thing to do is go to Auth and Tokens. Create a new authentication. The first two fields to enter are the domain and the name. These are purely for your information, just so you can identify them when you're using the call edit page. Next is the authentication type. The most popular ones here would be OAuth 2 and maybe basic auth, and then the manual setup. We're going to be covering OAuth 2. The manual setup is a lot more flexible, but takes a lot more work to set up. So OAuth 2. And so first we'll need the authorization and token URLs. The authorization URL in OAuth 2 is the page that you redirect the user to so they can sign in, and the token URL is using for swapping the code for the token and for using refresh token. I'll copy the values in now. So there are the values. There's one last thing here. By default, we use the client secret post OAuth 2 flow. If you use the client secret basic authentication, where it uses a basic authorization header in the get token calls, then you need to tick this box here, use basic auth for get token API. The next thing you'll need is the client ID and the client secret. You'll get these from your OAuth service. And lastly, we have some informational URLs you can enter in a description. You can leave these blank. The next step is we'll need to sign in so we can get an access token. And you use that by using the Create New Token interface. We need to give this token a name again, so token 1 will work. Choose the grant type. Authorization code is the OAuth flow that lets you sign in as a user. We also have the client credentials that lets you use machine-to-machine APIs. Lastly, you can enter your scope. I'm going to choose the offline access scope, and that will allow me to get a refresh token from my auth service. This depends on how your OAuth server is set up. So now all we need to do is click on Authenticate. This is my OAuth server's authorization page. I have my details saved so I can just log in quickly. We get redirected back to the token callback page. Here you can see we've extracted the code and state from the URL. We support both query and URL fragment approaches. You can see the URL for the callback is client.apimetrics.io/token/callback. You'll need that for your OAuth service. Next, click Run Token Create Wizard. And you can see here we have a new token. It expires in a day. If I click Edit, you can see we have the values returned by it, the access token and the refresh token. This means we'll be able to automatically get a new access token when it expires. So if I go back to the API calls, select the auth setting, click Run. See, the API has worked. And you can see here we've used the bearer token we received, and so the API call worked and returned to 200. Thank you.